What's up, everybody? Welcome back to PLD Projects. Welcome to another episode of reView. This is your first time here to like, subscribe, and get to know us a little better. We have a growing fan base. A lot of people in our comments recently, which I'm happy to see. Happy to see you're enjoying this little journey we're taking you on, and we're going on with you. Lego, my partner, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Just here at the end of the year, watching some things.
Watching some things and finishing out some relationships with some actors. In this case, the great CULL has continued and is almost over. CULL's not quite over yet. This is the big CULL. But, there's a little bit more left to go. That's a spoiler alert there.
Who else can leave?
They're like rats leaving a sinking ship, or again, maybe they're just getting eaten by the visitors as they're leaving the ship, so to speak. But yeah, this is a big episode. This is the big one for us as unabashed Michael Ironside fans. We do unfortunately say goodbye to Michael Ironside today. We also technically say goodbye to Mickey Jones, who not even in this episode. We actually already said goodbye to him.
Was he in there? I didn't see him.
He was not. Ham mentions him at the very end. He says, we got to meet Chris at the Mojave pickup or something like that. So there's a line that mentions. So Ham and Chris are going with Robin, I guess. But that's the flip side, and that's the bonus. It is our last episode with pretty much our punching bag, Blair Tefkin and Robin. But a big episode nonetheless. Kind of a lot of things going on in this episode.
You say punching bag. Okay, I say, reap what you sow.
I didn't say she didn't deserve it. I just say that really sounds bad. I'm saying that the woman deserves being a punching bag. It's not what I mean at all, folks. But the character is just not one that we have been big fans of since. I honestly think since the beginning of the
very first episode of the first miniseries.
Yes, it's true. I think we tolerated her a little bit in the miniseries, I think, because
I think that was just UPLD.
That might have been just me. I was like, okay,
it's been real mean, been real vicious. Rattlesnake over here.
I have joined you towards the end, getting more and more snake-like towards the end. But this is it. She's finally done. We're finally done. The bitch is dead. Long live the bitch. Whatever that saying is. Ding dong, the bitch is. I don't know. You know what I'm saying. Either way, we're gonna get into it.
What just happened?
I am a little punch drunk. I'm not gonna lie. I'm recording this on my birthday, as you know, the viewers might not know. So I had a big meal, had a few whiskeys. I'm ready to go though. I watched this last night. I'm excited to talk about this. Overall thoughts before we get into the nitty gritty on this episode, particularly.
Ooh, well, this, like many episodes before, this episode, it had potential, and that potential was squandered, PLD, squandered. But this episode kind of goes in two different little plots, and I will say one of them I like significantly more because this is what the show should be. It had so much potential, and that was executed, I think, quite well. But they should have done more, and I maybe have a rewrite. Yes, I'm talking about the Kyle side of the plot.
I'm excited to get there. You mentioned that before. I'm excited to get there. I will say, I said this before we hit record button. I'll stand by it again. I felt like if you showed me the bullet points in an outline format, this is what this story is going to be this week, I would have been like, this actually seems to work. This seems like it's thought out. There's some good stuff here and there. Everything seems to work. Minus Ham leaving. Okay, minus Ham leaving. But everything else seems like, oh, that's great. Fortunately, it seems like they took a lot of bad turns as far as executing it goes. But that's not to say it's all bad. There's actually some of my favorite moments in the series happen in this episode. But you know what? I think we just get right into it. So we're going to hit all these, the notes we have. I have a lot of notes in this one. You can tell, like, sometimes I have like a half a page to a page notes. I have like 3 pages of notes.
I don't know. Well, you've seen how I take notes, so.
You are definitely, I love your note taking. Very well detailed and some funny moments.
Color coded, it's a whole thing.
Oh, absolutely. All right, let's start off with our Freedom Network inspirational speeches or talking about characters. I got to say, I don't want to make fun of the name, but I love the name. Chi-Chi Hapse is the Hawaiian, I guess, the Hawaiian person who they're celebrating for a bit.
I liked in England, they had the Robin Hood Brigade.
And then the Chattanooga Volunteers. It seems
Okay, every time I hear Chattanooga, I think the Chattanooga Choo Choo.
I do too, actually. But I had like all sorts of different names are going all over
I
the name spectrum.
I loved Frankie Weatherwax. Now
Thank
that's a name. That is a solid name. That is someone who has that is grizzled, that has a like a firm handshake, that can
Oh
drink an
yeah.
old fashioned
Oh yeah. He definitely
and
has like
can
a
make
bottle.
one. I don't
Like
even know what's in it. But I know Frankie Weatherwax does.
definitely does. I just wish the picture was not like the producer's like cousin because the picture does not look like a Frankie Weatherwax. You're telling me that's a
No,
mechanic who single-handedly stopped an alien attack on a junior high school by turning a laser cannon on the visitors? Not that guy. Frankie
and
Weatherwax, absolutely.
I think he stole that Jeep. And he's got
Absolutely.
someone else to take the picture. That way,
That's
that he can't be found because Frankie Weatherwax, that's a man who's smart. He's not like Donovan with this picture plastered all over LA.
that's damn right. Frankie Weatherwax coming to season 2 of V that never got made.
I would
Would have
make
been
a
awesome.
whole show about Frankie Weatherwax. You hear that name? That is a name worthy of a TV
Absolutely.
show.
You know
19
what?
episodes, baby.
You know what? I think Frankie Weatherwax takes the journey. He goes with the Chattanooga Volunteers. He takes a trip over to London, helps out with the Robin Hood Brigade, and then meets Chi Chi Haspe in Hawaii later on. He's traveling around. He is just a Roman resistance member. I love Frankie Weatherwax, our new hero, the new, let's say, our new mascot here on review.
I'm for it.
Perfect. All right. I'm glad we agree.
I'm casting Tom Selleck.
I like that casting. I was like, he would either be Tom Selleck or Burt Reynolds, maybe, but I'll go with Tom Selleck for sure. I always say Burt Reynolds. I actually happened to watch Smokey and the Bandit the other day for the first time in like years.
Isn't Burt Reynolds like very old?
He's a little older. He's a little older than. He's a little. He would have been. Well, yeah. He's because he's more of a '70s guy than Tom.
Listen, I'm just saying he's no Tom Selleck, is what it comes down to.
He's actually also passed away in 2018. But
Well,
I'm
we're casting this in the 80s.
casting this in the '80s, so yeah, he's not that much older. But
I mean, if
either
you want
way,
modern day, I don't even know. Clint Eastwood's grandkid or son, I don't know.
oh
No,
yeah, Scott Eastwood, I think it is. Yeah, we
yeah,
could do that.
there we
Or a
go.
mustache like that.
As
Okay.
long as he can grow a mustache, he
Yeah.
works.
That's exactly what you need. You definitely need the stash, the power of the stash.
Ooh, or a Wyatt Russell, bet he can grow a mustache.
Oh, Wyatt Russell can absolutely grow a kick-ass mustache. I've never seen him with one, but I can guarantee you he can grow a kick-ass one. I've been watching Monarch, and I love
Oh
that
my god, I'm
show.
only on episode 2, but I love Godzilla, and this
Yeah,
show is just like amazing. This year has been really great for Godzilla content.
absolutely. Did you Godzilla minus one
Oh
was
hell yeah,
so
in theater.
good,
As soon as I heard about it, yeah.
so good, and I
I
love
think it
it.
might be my movie of the year.
I think it's up there for me as well. It's definitely up there. I put it just maybe under Oppenheimer myself, maybe under.
Okay, that's just disrespectful, BLT. Let's think about that. There's some socio-historical nonsense happening on your list.
I could always count on you to attack anything. I don't even know what the word is. Anything normal on a list, pretty much. The anti-normal. That's what it goes. I love you for it.
I'm just here talking about and pointing out the nonsense.
That is our show, ladies and gentlemen. We point out the nonsense. I embrace it. She rejects it, and it's why we made a good duo. We get both sides of the zonness here. Uh, all right, so let's finish off with Frankie Weatherwax. We'll come back to Frankie Weatherwax another time, and we'll pitch a whole Frankie Weatherwax series later on.
I'll do it.
I know you will. I know you will. And I'm here for it. I will read it. All right, so
accepted.
I'm definitely here for that. All right, so we move on to the start of the story, and we have Willie on the streets
In a leather jacket.
in a black leather jacket most of the time. We're going to get to that in a second. You didn't notice something. Okay. I'll get to that in a second. So Willie in his black leather jacket, it's actually nice to see him in the field. Since Elias is now dead, he doesn't really
Is it
have.
Elias's jacket?
No. It's that would be cool. That would have been cool.
If I'm a writer, why would
That'd
you
be cool.
do that?
I would love that. I would absolutely love that. So Willie is roaming streets, Pat trying to go away from guards. He's trying to go to meet. We don't know yet, but we eventually figure out he's trying to go meet a fifth columnist. However, the first minute of the episode, he looks at the guards, lets the light pass them, and the very next shot is a reverse shot from the previous episode with Willie wearing the brown jacket that he's wearing when Elias was killed. It's him running away when Elias is killed. That's what we see there. So all of a sudden, Willie's wearing the brown
Oh
jacket.
no!
It's a reverse shot, and it's so obvious. Like, you're not even wearing the same jacket. If you want to use that shot, have him wear the same jacket he always was wearing.
They went to the school of Amir Shavan filmmaking,
Pretty much
and
what.
you know what? I'm okay with it. Didn't even notice. It was dark enough for me.
Like, the funny thing is, because the black leather jacket is a new jacket choice. If they just had him wear the same jacket, it wouldn't have been nearly as noticeable.
So, okay, all right. So I'm editing, and I realize we don't have a shot we need to visually tell this story. What am I gonna do? I'm gonna go pull an old shot, and I'm gonna desaturate a little, up the shadows, okay, lessen the brightness, throw it in there.
Absolutely. It's a way to save money as well, for sure. We don't need that shot. We don't need
I've
to send
I've
the extra
I've
time
seen
there.
a movie that they lost the footage, or like they lost a whole reel, and they
Oh,
just
no.
they just so they just put it
Cut
out.
and
So
paste
you get to
there.
a scene of the characters falling asleep, and then it cuts to they're in the middle of a chase scene. No explanation. That's how they released it.
Yeah, you gotta appreciate the balls it took to do something like that. I love that.
I mean, at that point, I think I would just be like, I didn't put all this work in for nothing. Eff it. This is
Put
what
it
I'm
out there.
doing. I'm gonna go cry in a corner.
And just
Get to
hope
what
they
you're gonna
don't
do.
notice. Hope they're into their popcorn a lot at that point. Did I just come back from the
I've
bathroom?
seen a
What is
movie where they kept, the pre-roll where they had the clapperboard in the scene for a solid, like, almost a minute.
Oh my god.
Like,
That's
sometimes you just when you're editing, it's like, "This is the clips we got. We'll just
yeah.
throw it in."
Well, it definitely happens a couple times during this episode, I think, and throughout the series, I think it gets worse.
Oh, dear.
We're gonna have fun finding those moments out.
But I
Uh,
do wonder if that was, like, thought about, like, we can use something else, or if it was an editing, like, what can we do?
there could have been, I
'Cause
would actually
I think it's
appreciate that.
that.
And maybe it is because you got to figure there are professionals on NBC at this point. I always want to give them a little bit of credit that way, potentially. Um, well, I don't know if you need that shot. I don't know if you need that shot at all. I mean, maybe you don't even bother. You just kind of like, because he's sneaking around. You just get him into the next place. Why do you need to see him running across? I don't know. Maybe that's just me. But either way, he gets to where he's going. He gets into this like abandoned, I don't know, this is played out of a room of stairs, and we meet a fifth columnist named Simon who comes down the stairs, and they share a moment where Simon and Willie are having a discussion about Charles potentially doing something dangerous, moving arms into the open city, and all of a sudden they are stopped because two guards walk in, and they shoot Simon dead really
Ah!
quickly. And I'm like, God damn it! We introduced this character, and we don't get a chance to really hang out
All
with
of
him.
Willie's friends are getting killed, and I
Right?
did write they in all caps, "Oh my god, they shot Willie. If Willie dies, I'm out. I'm done. Finished. Put a fork in me. It's over."
Well, you know what? It was pretty much over technically until, well, we'll get there. Um, but here's the thing about that sequence too. As far as we know, the visitors don't have stun weapons. They're all laser. I mean, like in Star Wars, for example, you have the blaster, and then you have the circles. When the circle stun hits Princess Leia in episode in A New Hope for Star Wars, this looks just like a
This
regular
is not
laser
Star
blast.
Trek. We do
This is like
not
a
set our phasers to stun. We set them to kill.
in that case, Willie gets shot directly in the chest. Like there's not like a glaze in the shoulder and not a
Guilty.
hitting
Guilty.
right in the chest.
Guilty. You don't understand. There's two things going on for Willie. One, main character plot armor, but more importantly, number two, the power of the leather jacket.
The leather jacket isn't even covering it. If you hit the leather
But he
jacket, I would
has
give
it
it.
embracing his spirit now.
The leather jacket's
Okay?
flopping open. The glass
Elias
is
is there with him. And Elias's ghost is like, nah.
He gets shot so hard and slammed into the wall, and yet he is able to crawl away and
And run.
run.
He
And not
runs
only
away
run,
home. Doo-wop,
um,
doo-wah-woo.
he like walks where the guards go, see the blood on the wall, and go, "Oh, he won't make it very far." And I'm gonna jump forward for a second because we do have a scene with Kyle and Elizabeth. But we go back when we go back to seeing Willie, it's the same shot again from him running away from Elias, just done the right way this time. Wearing the brown jacket. So not only this, he's not only wearing the brown jacket, he is running like a full healthy run after he just got shot.
Listen, sometimes when you get shot, you get adrenaline, and that allows you to propel your body forward at a momentum you would not normally be able to do. That's science, PLD.
It's
Science.
amazing how much you were defending this episode right now, and I'm here for it.
Each other's nonsense, and I love it.
And let me tell you, I do love this episode. I do.
Well, I
It's
mean,
just a
also,
detail
we
like that. I'm
don't,
like,
like, we don't know, like, I mean, is Willie even a visitor? I mean, maybe he's special. Like, maybe he has powers. We don't know.
they do end up showing up powers which randomly show up in these people all the time. So maybe that's the case. Um,
Maybe
I
it's
don't
because
know.
he's a believer of Zahn.
Maybe he's
Zahn
Zon's
protected
chosen
him.
one. That could be it. Maybe he's protected by Zon. He is in some ways for sure. But before we get there, before we get to this shot, the same shot twice in the same episode. So let's just say that again, though. They took an episode shot from the last episode and used it twice in this episode. Okay, that says where we are. So we go to the Resistance headquarters. You got Kyle and Elizabeth watching TV. And Kyle and Elizabeth are all of a sudden this old married couple. Elizabeth coming in, talking to him. Kyle's like,
He has to watch his deep fake father, Faith and Nate's, give a broadcast.
and Kyle can see right through it because he's like, that's not my father. That's not my father.
Which I like. I did like this. I
I
like the
did too.
conversation they have. I like that they're an old married couple. I'm just gonna let everything about Elizabeth and her actual age go. It's fine. It's not fine. It's fine.
Well, it's almost fine because the show doesn't care about it at all. Like, this is not, there's nothing about Elizabeth that screams young girl anymore. Like, she's made the transition by now. Like, she is just acting full on. Like, she's still got some, I guess,
I
naivety.
mean, I still have some issues in that they're both. No, I still got some issues with it.
I
Her
understand.
mother is right there.
Not for long.
It's
Not for
weird.
long. Not for
That gets
long.
weirder. I got comments about that.
We're gonna get there too. Yeah, I do too. But as far as like the actual like Elizabeth's acting and performance goes, she really stopped performing any childish like stuff for the most part. She's definitively like this grown woman, at least how she's portraying Elizabeth. Whether or not that's actually the way it should be or not, totally different question. But as far as this goes, I do believe Kyle and Elizabeth a little bit more. I'm a little more at ease with it at this point. Maybe it's a sense of like it's hit you over the head enough times where like it's going to be okay. We're just, this is what's going to happen now, and you kind of go, okay, all right. But yeah, I like this too. I do like Kyle has his moments here, and him seeing through Faith and Nate's does actually work a lot better for me than not. He's if there's anybody gonna look see through, it's gonna be his son. So yeah. They have the conversation. Kyle's going to go off and do something. We don't know necessarily what, but he does. And then we jump forward to the next scene, which is Langley, John Lieutenant Langley. All of a sudden, he has a last name. Every once in a while, the visitors have a last name. Or we had that before
Like,
in
what's the
Visitors'
point of
Choice.
that? Like, they wouldn't refer to each other by their English Earth name. Yeah, it's fine.
Right, I agree. We had the
I'm
same
just calling him
conversation
Bruce Davison.
during during Visitors' Choice. I guess we had the General Larson character or whatever that was
Yeah.
in the so similar thing. Yeah, I don't know why they do that. So we just I'm okay with just calling him John. But then again, like we had a John previously. He was the Supreme Commander during the original miniseries. So but I guess John's a common enough name that we're going to use it now. Okay, that's fine.
You know, it would be funny if they went like the Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai route and all of the aliens were just called John.
That'd be kind of funny, actually. That would be kind of cool. I could see that working out. So either way, though, this is what I kind of mentioned this last episode, and I feel like there's a lot of potential with this character because he goes to Diana and basically tries to get out of the situation. He doesn't want to work this situation anymore. And it's like this, what could have been this great kind of arc where you have a visitor infiltrating the resistance and trying to impregnate Robin, but like he's kind of second guessing himself essentially. It feels like you can go a lot of different routes with this because you're never sure what his angle is. And I unfortunately think that's bad writing and not
Yeah.
like I wish it wasn't bad. I wish it was just a more of like it was like meant to be not confusing in the right way, but like kind of like you want to think, is he trying to avoid what is he trying to avoid? Like, for example, he mentions he's not going to tell Diana where the base is because he's scared that Diana is going to just launch an attack and kill and destroy the
And
base
risk
he's
you
in it.
blowing it up while I'm still inside? I didn't crawl out of the swamp yesterday.
Right. Which actually I thought was a great line. And it actually took the time to justify that because that's like a question that would be there. Well, John's been in the resistance base. Why isn't he just reporting it? This is a nice, at least, justification of it.
Yeah,
So,
so it seems like I think with Robin, he is just playing a role.
right.
And I think that he ultimately is. I think he ultimately is on the side of the visitors. He's just not on the side of Diana. He's
I
on the
kind
side
of,
of him.
yeah, I kind of get the feeling when I watch it and what I come to grips with is that I don't think he digs the idea of like impregnating the girl, like seducing Robin and being part of that scientific experiment and using love and lust to do that kind of thing. I think he kind of feels it's dirty and wrong.
Yeah, he's not
Like
into
beneath him.
ungentlemanly warfare.
Exactly. He comes to just infiltrating resistance and getting information that way. That's his gig. That's his as a like a information officer or whatever. As a spy, that's what he does. This whole other stuff is a little distasteful to him. And I still think that's kind of cool though. Still kind of like shows a personality, which is something you don't really get out of a lot of these like, one or two character arc or one or two episode arcs.
That's
Uh
true. Also, this shouldn't just be these 1 or 2 episode arcs. Like it's just a tragedy.
if
But
we had had this for
getting
a
Bruce
couple of seasons.
Davison, I feel like was a huge get for
Yeah.
them because he is such a good actor.
Yeah.
Even if he wasn't like a name back then, it's like the caliber of performance that he's delivering really elevates not necessarily great material.
Absolutely, and I'm wondering, I don't know, it's all about the time frame at this point, like, I wonder if this was meant to be like a 7 or 8 episode arc. Was it meant to be like kind of play where you get Bruce Davison in there and it becomes this running thing? It's almost like they cast him, had to serve it, and then all of a sudden the axe had to come down. We have to cut budget by a lot and call a lot of
Yeah, I
people. So like, all right,
wonder
you know what? Let's gonna have to write him out, unfortunately.
how
Like,
far ahead they shoot because I've definitely some of my favorite characters are characters that were only meant to be in shows for a couple episodes, but
mm,
that got such fanfare that they remained in the show.
yeah,
Misha Collins as Castiel and Supernatural is a big one for me.
the
But
janitor and
like
scrubs.
I'm assuming they just never, had the time to see fans' reactions to characters so that they could keep they just made these things too short
Yeah,
and the elimination of the character was too permanent to really
yeah,
undo.
yeah. I think another actually, I would like to have, I would like to have seen, and I almost wonder if we would have seen Howie return in an episode or two.
I got a
The
lot to say about Howie because he should
Colin,
definitely return. Like
right? Yes,
and be
exactly.
like the new Martin, but also simultaneously having him work with Julia gives her so much more to do because they're both essentially doctors.
Scientists, doctors. It has that Julie Robert Maxwell kind of vibe going on, where they had they discovered a lot
And
together, et
plus, he's
cetera, et
just a
cetera.
fun character. And I feel like,
Hmm.
no offense to Willie, but I feel like he and Elizabeth might kind of hit it off.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
don't
you can
disagree.
teach her a little bit
Absolutely.
more about their community,
And
their
not
space
only
camp.
that, but then also Willie gets a friend also though, to a degree. Also, Willie could have someone he could work with. I feel like Willie and Howie would actually fit well together to a degree.
They seem like they would be buds because they're both kind of nerdy. Nerdy
Yeah,
nerd guys.
I loved a lot of his like responses that were so like the idea when he's like, I was frying up lizards. And what's his response? Was that deep fried or stir fried or whatever it is? It's like,
And he
who
tried
says
to
that?
laugh, like,
Like, I'm just teasing. Yeah, I'm like, okay, I love that. Um, And then you said it best. It was a note I had later on. We'll get there. Was I thought the same thing? It would have been a very much more organic way of having a Martin-like character, which has kind of been missing from the show since Martin was killed in the first episode. I mean, eventually we are going to get Philip, but that's a totally different thing later on down the line. But yeah, I think Howie would have been a great addition. I do again wonder if that would have been something that they would have done, except for the fact that they had the call. We don't know that one. I don't think we'll ever know unless we have a chance to interview the producers at that point, see what they have to say. But anyway, let's go back to where we actually were beat by beat in the show. So we have a scene with Langley said, and John is like agreeing to do it because she basically threatens to kill him, which is funny. I gotta tell you, here's a fun story, a fun kid PLD story. When I was younger and watched this, like 9, 10. Diana says something like, "You're going to do what I tell you, or else I'll be forced to write a letter to your family that you were killed in action." And like, I didn't understand that the threat to be that she was going to kill him. I was like, so she's going to write a letter to his family, but he's still alive. What is that going to do? He can just call them up and say, "I'm alive."
Well, letters, PLD. They're much more convincing than phone calls. Come on, what are you gonna believe, a phone call or a letter?
Right, absolutely. From Diana specifically. I was so bad. I don't even know. I want to be. I don't even want to tell you how long it took me to realize what that actually meant. Because once you see someone's a kid and you like, look onto it, that's just like what it is.
I don't want to tell you who I thought Kaiser Sose was in the Usual Suspects.
Ooh, no, I was.
I didn't get it when I was a kid.
That we'll have to have a conversation about sometime. Maybe we'll have to cover that at some point. Who knows? So we jump back. We see Willie in that same shot again. Makes his way back. Collapses on Elizabeth, who's coming out to give Kyle his gloves.
He's got to have his driving gloves. And his wifey has to deliver those to him in a dress. It's very 1950s.
Oh, honey. Oh, honey. I love when you get that. It's like the sigh of Lego is worth 1,000 words. So they stumble back into the basement of the Club Creole, and Julie tries to start treating him. Julie and Elizabeth start trying to treat him. And that's when Donovan and Ham pop in. Oh, we're timing out. Okay.
Why? You're telling me, how long has it been? It's been years. And Julie, you're telling me Julie doesn't know the anatomy? She's not done any kind of research or experiments or had any kind of conversations with any of the visitors. Okay. Proceed.
No, I will actually add on to that. If you remember correctly, we have in the miniseries, Julie has Willie on his stomach with his back open, and they're doing all sorts of tests and everything else. Yeah, I would think by now that she had a much better understanding of visitor anatomy. And
she's dissected some aliens. Come on.
Absolutely. But it doesn't work for our story, so we'll move on.
So back to DonoHam.
The last run of DonoHam. Sad. I keep saying that. I keep being sad about it. But they show up, and they realize that Julie says that she needs help. She needs a visitor doctor. So DonoHam goes to the local hospital to get a doctor. And for the first time, we see visitor doctors with white bands on their shoulder, signifying medics. I don't know if we've seen that before. I don't remember if we've seen that before.
They might as well just. They really want to do Star Trek colors, and they just don't have the balls for it.
That's pretty much what it is.
Give your medical officer the blue uniform, give your captain the red, okay, give your science officer, the gold for your captain.
Yes.
I guess Spock wore red.
Interesting.
Yeah. But they did kill all those scientists, so that seems fitting.
That is true. That's a very good point. So we are introduced to Howie, who is talking to his supervisor, and right away we get the kind of sense that Howie is a good guy or a better guy because he's questioning Charles' motivation, even though he's not like doing an outlier, so he'll get caught up. He's got testing his supervisor a little bit as far as things go, but he's got to be a nurse, so he's not going to go out with him afterwards, of course. And then DonoHam picks him up, and they get him together. how he's very nice and a very good guy. So of course he's gonna look in on Ham saying he's got a sick friend in the car. They get him in the car and they bring him
These
back
2
to
men are foolish, PLD. They're like, "That our guy? Yeah, that's our guy. How you know that's our guy?" "Oh, because 'cause we're gonna look for the guy with the golf clubs."
I actually wrote that down. That's a great line. I love that line. It's so stupid. It's so
And
stupid.
then when they realized that, in fact, it wasn't their guy, he's like, "I thought that was our guy." Just a big shrug.
Well, dun, dun, dun.
See, now this is what we needed. It
Yeah.
reminds me of the bumbling cops. This is so specific. It reminds me of the bumbling cops from Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers.
Oh, don't say that. I hate those cops. These guys I love. I love the DonoHam,
But
the cops from
they're so
Halloween.
foolish, PLD. Like, they needed
Mm.
like, Benny Hill music.
It works for a campy sci-fi show at this point, yes. Much better than it works for the horror film that Halloween 5 should be. I'm a big
Oh, yeah.
non-fan of Halloween
That's
5.
that would be an interesting editing room to be in, like the fly on the wall of that room.
Yeah. Oh boy. How to make a terrible follow-up. Um,
Oh, come on.
yeah, well, it's funny, but I hate the was one of the least favorite films are in the franchise, and the fact that the story is like the director was so cocky and arrogant. He came in like to his meeting and took the script that he was given, and he put it in the trash. And I was like, okay, this is our guy, huh? Like this is not the guy you want making your movie. But I
Okay, but, I mean, we know the story of 6, and everyone, should, at this point, know how I feel about Daniel Franz.
mhm, mhm. I get that you do.
But
I understand.
I do like 6. I love the Thorn trilogy. I'm a Thorn trilogy stan. I've been thinking about getting a tattoo.
I know you are. I actually really appreciate you for that. I have softened on the Thorn trilogy to the point where I can I don't love it. I prefer other parts of the Halloween franchise, but at the same time, I do appreciate what it's going for. Much like Jason Goes to Hell for me, at least it's taking some wild ass swings. Do they hit? That's your miles may vary.
I mean, yeah, I got rewrites on those too.
Fair. I will say I do like the producer's cut of Halloween 6 a little bit better
Yeah,
than the theatrical cut. But
because
yeah, there's
it's
still
the editing isn't god awful.
yeah that's pretty much one of the main reasons why right there. So, uh, all right, back to this episode. Um, you can always look at the Halloween franchise on two meter weight dudes. We go through the entire franchise. Lego, we haven't
I
done
have
that yet.
I have 3 videos that total, 2.5 hours on my channel about Halloween. Thinking of making another one. Who knows? I am. It's
One
just
of these days,
takes a long
maybe
time.
we'll have to do something together about Halloween because we've always talked about it, but never on air. Besides the little outliers we do on shows that have nothing to do with Halloween.
I mean, do I derail things?
No,
Maybe,
maybe,
perhaps.
maybe a little bit, but you know what? I can't say I don't. I mean, I go with you on these journeys pretty
Listen,
willingly.
I've
So
listened to you and PJ, okay? So,
that is fair. That is
um,
very fair. I have no.
Pedal, Pot. Hey, how you doing?
Hi. Yeah, I have no leg to stand on. No leg to stand on. So, all right, off of Halloween, back to V, back to the betrayal. Um, the next thing we get is the Diana, Lydia, and Charles scene where we learn that Charles is in fact moving arms into the open city, despite his treaty with Bates. I believe Chang is accepting of this. I think that's how they never quite say whether he's doing it under the. Are they sneaking it by Chang, or is actually Chang agreeing to it?
I got the sense that Chang didn't know that.
Okay, I got the sense that Chang knew maybe not all of it, but was kind of like looking the other way. Like you don't ask, don't tell kind of thing. Like if you don't, he's not going to worry about it. Like you can kind of sneak it through, and he won't look at it, kind of thing. He won't, but he might not know the degree of which what's being done. That's the way I look at it potentially. But
Either
we're not
way,
very
doesn't really matter.
no, does not.
You know, you
It
can you
does
can you can interpret it either way because the writers didn't make it clear.
not. Exactly. Shocker, that is. Let's go back to some more stock footage being used. When you go to Langley's house, so John has a house. I don't know. This guy is a bumblefuck reporter, supposedly from like Houston or from I think it was from Arizona. He was supposedly roaming around the country, makes his way into LA, and all of a sudden he has a house.
Well, we've talked about the real estate in LA in previous
That's true.
episodes at this juncture.
True.
You know, like we've talked about the economics. You know, he
Yeah.
probably came in with something that people in LA didn't have that they wanted, and you know, from the outside world, and you know, they got him a nice spot of land.
True. And you know what? He does get visitor money, so I'm sure he gets money from whatever money he needs from
I'm
DonoHam.
also now very curious about the electrical grid, about the state of water. I lived in LA, not a lot of water there.
And in
Like,
this case, the visitor taking it all.
yeah. Well, trying to. Uh,
Trying to. Attempting to, true.
you know, I'm very curious about the import and exports.
Right?
Do taxes still exist?
That's a
Just
good
throwing that out
question.
there.
I assume they would, but they may not be paid to the government. They'd be paid directly to Nathan Bates, probably. More tribute than taxes, I'm assuming. But
I
a
just have
similar
so many
concept.
questions and none of them are answered.
Nope.
If the new show doesn't answer them, I'm gonna be real sad about it. I need a whole episode with Ben Stein teaching Ferris and Cameron about the economics of an alien takeover.
And
Woo! Economics. Tell me about those tariffs.
are you talking about the 2009 show or our Frankie Weatherwax spinoff? That's what I want.
The 2009 show. Oh,
Okay.
Frankie Weatherwax show is absolutely having a Ben Stein cameo explaining the economic situation.
Perfect. I'm here for it. I'm
And this
totally
is
here
why I
for it.
rewrite things.
So we get the outside exterior shot of the Langley home, and we discover, oh my God, it's the Daniel Bernstein and Brian home from the V the Final Battle.
Wouldn't it be funny if it actually was their house? Like
Yeah,
intentionally?
if it was intentionally, yes. But in this case, I think it's just that you wanted to use the exterior shot of the shuttle coming down over the house. And it's funny because they use that shot a couple times in this episode as well.
They're
Basically the
doing
same
what they can with what they got, Pio.
shot. This one I didn't mind as much. It's just an exterior shot of a house. I kind of like, okay,
See, what it would
I'm good with
really be
that.
funny is if they had her in Robin's old house.
Ah, that would have been funny. That made sense. You know, Robin, maybe Robin. That's how Robin got him the job. Maybe Robin got him the house. Oh, you know, I have this house in L.A. My parents' old house. No one's using. You can stay there.
Oh, she definitely doesn't own that home.
That's true. True. Well, but she might now that Robert's dead.
Nah, that was taken. That was
Taken.
taken.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. We do get to see Langley without his eyes in for a second, which I actually appreciate because we haven't seen special effects like that in a bit. Like getting the visitor with their eyes out. I like that, reminding us who he is. But he gets those eyes back in really quickly when Robin shows up.
Yeah, I don't know if you've ever worn contacts.
I did.
POV.
I did.
They take a minute, especially
Yeah.
the colorful ones, especially
Mm.
those giant ones they're wearing. And then you
Those
have to
like
like
big
blink and
balls.
look around for a while and get them situated.
Yeah.
I wore
Wow.
some gray ones once. It was unfortunate. People were scared. Someone moved away. Apparently, it looked too much like a vampire.
Really? Do you have pictures of that? 'Cause I think I want to take a look at that at some point. See what they're like.
Yeah, I don't want to kill you, PLD.
I might risk it. I might risk it for that because I'm interested to see what causes people to be scared of you. Because no offense, I don't think I could ever be scared of you.
Oh, I'm a pretty intimidating person. I get that a lot.
Really
Yeah.
intimidating, huh? Huh?
At least 'cause I'm tall and I look angry.
That's
And I don't talk much, so people don't know that I have a real, you know, I have this voice. I think it brings the intimidation level down, sadly.
Maybe that's why, 'cause I actually talk to you a lot, so maybe that's why I'm not as intimidated by you as other people might be. So,
And perhaps you're not seeing my my ridiculous outfits. I think I always wear red eyeliner. I think that might have something to do with it too.
oh, that could be. Well, one of these days, I'm gonna have to take a look and see if I get scared or not. Maybe also next week I'll be under review, so I won't be able to talk to you anymore. That might happen. All right, so Robin gets there. They have a conversation, and Langley gets a little rapey, trying to force the issue, which feels bad.
Okay, so I'm gonna read my notes. Bruce Davison and Robin. Ellipses. I zoned out. They're on the couch and kissy and talky, and I could not care less. Oh wait, he's getting really aggressive. All caps. Red flag. Run, Robin! Run! Exclamation points. And then she leaves with a, I'm sorry, John. I love you. Girl, kill me. Kill her. Kill him. No. No. No.
Mm.
It's painful. It was so painful. I was hitting my head up against a wall. Now I have a leak. It's tragic.
I don't. I believe it, and I completely empathize because that's all I said too. I just like, okay, he's getting rapey, and she's getting very bad reactions to it, and red flag run. I could same thing. Red flag run. What I found funny though is that she leaves. You see him on the couch being like, ah, fuck, basically. We fade because there's a commercial there, and we come back, and he's arriving home again. It's like, wait, where'd he go? After, I'm sorry, first we get the exterior shot again of the house just without the shuttle. This
It's
side.
been some time. He went for a walk.
Is that what it is?
He's an aggressive male. He's got to go take a breather.
Takes a breather and comes back, and Diana's in the house. So, like, Diana, what is your game plan here, Diana? Like, she says she's here to force the
She's
issue.
all glittered up. We know what her game is.
That's true. That is very true.
She is a firm believer in sparkle motion, baby.
And it works for her. She has a great outfit on. She says she's there to help push along the situation with Robin, but we know what she's really there for.
Yeah, and listen, I'm not an expert. I've only seen these kind of conversations on TV, but from my understanding, when you're trying to get pregnant, you got to keep a real close track, guys, on when you're shooting your load. And they're not doing that. I gotta say, that's not smart, Diana. You're a scientist. You should know better.
Especially
But
because
also, she's wearing a real shiny dress, and I thought was Bruce Davison's character.
well, Bruce Davison is smart. He knows that if he can have, please the commander, it's going to do good for his career. He can get that reassignment that he wants too, potentially.
That's true. I think he's a fool and a half if he thinks allowing himself to be seduced by Diana is going to get him anything he wants. But I do want to point out a line that Diana has that this is the line, PLD, this is the line. She says to him, "You have the vanity of a man who expects to succeed." Ooh, now where is that writing? Bring that front and center. I bet Jane Badler improv that. The writing team didn't write that.
No.
And then the big problem I had with the scene though is that it didn't really have any music to it, and it definitely needed some sultry music. It was just very flat.
Yeah, agreed.
And I don't know if it makes sense. Like, I think I'm starting to have a real big problem with how they're writing Diana is that, they need this woman to be a bad person. She's the enemy. And so to do that, they make her very sexually, I wouldn't say aggressive, but, she is a woman who's embracing her sexuality. And combining those two elements, I feel like is wildly problematic. And it's not great.
No, it's not great.
But she's so glittery. It's like, I don't even care.
You forgive it. You forgive it. I get it. But also, if Diana, like, I don't know how this is, but Diana wants him to impregnate Robin. If you're going to take out his load, then at that point, know what happens if Robin comes back in? Maybe he won't be able to perform.
And she does.
And she does. And she does. We're going to get there. Interesting thing about this edit now, this next edit, which I just found funny, and I know it's just me, but the way it's edited is like Bruce Davison and Diana kiss. And we jump to Willie jumping out of his, like, it's almost like he had a mental connection. It's like, oh my God, they're kissing. That's what it looked like to me, even though
their cuts aren't great.
No, they're not that great.
Also, Willie's, I mean, obviously I love Robert Englund, but the direction he was given for this, I'm assuming, was not great because his acting in the position of being, prone and injured is not.
No,
wonderful.
It's not.
It's very hokey and
I genuinely love Robert Englund,
twitchy.
but I agree. I agree. It's very unique. It is a little campy. Maybe it fits the show he's in. I don't know if that's what he's going for. Because he is a trained actor, or a trained like Shakespearean actor and everything else. But yeah, this is not the greatest scene for him. Um, but then Julie's going to give him morphine to ease the pain, and Howie comes in, and Howie tells her that morphine is poison to the
You're
visitors.
telling me she doesn't know this?
That was my question. First of all, if it's poison, wouldn't Diana have inoculated them against it somehow? Because that's what she was supposed to do. I don't know. Maybe she didn't
Well,
know.
that seems kind of improbable to me.
Maybe.
Because like, at the end of the day, if there's something that's poisonous to you, like morphine, you can't like inoculate. I mean, I guess you can build up an immunity to it over
Right.
time by taking small doses, maybe.
Right.
But I don't know. This just seems kind of
I mean, I'm just
like
saying because
to
they
say that Julie
blanket.
doesn't know it. Like you're dumbing down the character for a single episode, and that's just not good writing.
Right, it feels like Julie from like back. If it was like the original miniseries Julie at this point, that makes sense. This part though, at this stage, no,
What does she do at Science Frontiers? What is her job? You're telling me
nothing.
it's
Well,
not
nothing
to dissect
anymore.
aliens?
Nothing
Come on.
anymore. So she's not even there
I mean,
anymore.
like
But
she was working there for nearly a year. You're telling me she wasn't. You're telling me she wasn't dissecting aliens?
I definitely agree. I do love Howie's. I love Howie, and he has great line reads. I
And
love the
great
idea he
chemistry with
checks.
the cast.
Yeah,
Like the
100%.
character that they wrote fits in perfectly. It's like we've got the cast of Cheers. We know what to do with them, and then they just drop the ball so hard.
Yeah, I do like, for example, Donovan's like, okay, how's he doing? He just turns up. Yeah, he's gonna die. You're like, wait, what?
I mean, set your expectations.
Exactly. Um, so we have a little conversation with him, and he's like trying to figure out what's the best way to help, et cetera, et cetera. I do like the fact that he has to have Julie do the surgery because Willie needs a blood transfusion, and obviously he's the only visitor there. I did have to write that down though. Is like I don't maybe it's a scientific thing. This is fine by me. Do visitors all have the same blood type? Is that like not an issue for visitors, or are they all universal? I don't know because
I
like
think that's just we're just gonna have to take that as that because
which is fine.
otherwise it would just be that would just be so much to work around. I get that.
No, yeah, I absolutely get that. I wasn't actually blaming the writing at all. I just felt like it just was intriguing to me. I'm like, oh, okay, then maybe visitors all have the same blood type. Okay, fine.
I did like
Um,
Ham's line of "You don't seem to understand. I like this lizard."
I like this lizard. That's right. I also love the idea. Like, I wouldn't want this guy working on me. I don't know if I want this guy working on me. That guy takes him away and like shoves him. That's very Ham. Once Ham likes you and is friends with you and is, or at least loyal to you, he's very strongly loyal at that point. So,
I also want to point out something, and this is going to bother me a little bit, but in the original miniseries, Julie was a medical student. Okay,
mhm.
so we get to the final battle. Final battle ends. It cuts to like what we say, like approximately 6 months later.
Yes, that's what's supposed to be. Yes.
Okay, so in that 6 months, schools got started up and running again. Okay, she went back to school. She earned her doctorates
Mm-hmm.
in the 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
I'm fine
I'm
with
fine
that.
too. Yeah, sure.
That doesn't piss me off. That's
Sure.
fine.
Sure. Why not?
Mhm.
Sure.
It's great.
Absolutely.
Did she get, like, retroactive credits for her time at the war?
Maybe, sometimes Army gives you better credits than you deserve. They have you field time, field credits or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like it's like Jedi becoming Jedi Knights because they were involved in the Clone Wars. They had some battles. So that's your test. You're good now. You're okay now.
It's not the same POV. I mean, that does give you those specific knowledge in that area. But
Yes.
with this, it's like, okay, you fought a war. Did you learn how to set a bone? Okay, good, you did. Did you learn how to do open heart surgery? No. Okay, so still got to learn to do that then. What
Julie was a
exactly is she a
natural.
doctor of specifically? Is she an MD? And if she's an MD, what's her specialty?
I
Like,
don't think she was an
I
MD. I don't think that. I think she was a scientist, a research scientist. Maybe she got a doctorate in research scientist. Maybe that's what it is.
well, I mean, if you're going to that route, that's fine. But biology, chemistry,
Right. Right.
I
I
fought a
don't
lot of
know. We don't know how far along she was
I think
in the
maybe it's
research side
because
of
I'm
things.
like my parent, she's not a medical doctor, but she has doctorate degree. So I think I'm one of
Right.
those people that because I've been around like education so long, I'm just like, No, 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 no. That's not how degrees work, though.
Right, right, right. No, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
I don't have a
Um,
pen to use as a prop, so I'm going to wave a book around.
that works. That works. Um, okay, so Howie and Julie do the surgery. He's not very optimistic, and he comes forward and says that, but it is successful in stabilizing them for now. Then we jump back to Langley again, and that same outside the Daniel and Brian house shot again. It's okay. I won't mention that again. I'm just find it funny. And now Langley's eating. He's having a little post-coital mouse. Diet is left, luckily. And then he throws one in the garbage, which I'm like, you're gonna throw a live mouse in the garbage. Okay, that's the way to hide it, I guess.
I mean, does
And
it,
you're just gonna
the
eat the other one.
refrigerator doesn't work?
Or the freezer or something, at least. I don't know. Like, just do something. Even like, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what you do. Maybe just throw them out the window or something.
I
You have a
mean,
window
you don't
there.
have any Tupperware? Just
Exactly. But he does eat one very quickly. I did appreciate that. And we see Robin, who comes back in and is like, "Yeah, I'm ready now. If you want to do it, I'm ready now." It's like,
oh my god, just coming off as the most like stereotypical I guess abuse victim. I hate to use
yes.
that phrase, but I can't think of a better one. It's
No, I know what
just
you mean.
I wrote the cycle of abuse. She's agreeing to stay with him. Girl, no.
No, I
No.
don't get it. I mean, she is obviously an abuse victim. She is
Yeah,
literally. She had
100% she
Brian
is.
and also
But
the
the
ward
show isn't
and
smart enough to acknowledge or understand that is the
100%.
only issue.
100%. But it's what the show wants. So we get Robin and Langley get it on. Uh,
Screaming in silence.
off screen. And then we jump to Diana and Charles coming to talk to Chang. Chang is worried that Banks is going to get mad and sack him, whereas Charles basically says, "Sure, he
Execute.
might, unless you do this, unless you kill him, and then you can be in charge." Very manipulative by Charles and good by Charles. I'm disappointed in Chang. I felt like Chang was a better character, a better
He was so loyal. And you're
right.
telling me he's gonna flip like that? I mean, I think there has been a little friction, but he's been trying so hard, and you're telling me he's gonna flip like that?
Right.
Unbelievable.
Right. Yeah,
No proper build up to that.
I guess they're trying to say that he Chang understands that if Nathan sees what Charles has been doing with Bath and Nate's, that he'll blame Chang and that Chang will be done. And in a world like this, it's not like Chang can get another job somewhere.
Yeah, but it's like, dude, you've been working with Diana and Charles, for a while. Like, you know them. You know how manipulative they are, and you're just gonna
Yeah.
go right into their hand like that?
Yeah, that
That's
is the true
just
point.
such out of character.
I was not happy with Chang with that thing at all. Um, I almost feel like Chang could have come to that decision himself. It would have been better if he just
Could
came to it
have,
on his
yeah.
own. And that I would have believed a little bit more, even without the proper buildup. You can kind of see at least, okay, you can come to the like, if he just starts thinking to himself, all right, he's back, but I gotta have this good thing going with Charles myself. With Bateson, I can have Nathan Nate's like kind of take control of the TV screen. I can work behind the scenes. I don't need Nathan coming back in to screw things up at this point. I can see him getting there.
But we
Um,
also know that Nathan has, a very extreme backup plan,
yes, kind
which
of.
Mr. Chang would be aware of.
Right. Well, that's the thing we're
So
gonna get into on that. We're gonna get into that in a bit because that whole fucking situation. We're gonna get there.
yeah.
So we have Robin and Langley coming into Resistance headquarters after their post-coital, and Howie. They talk to Howie. This is where Howie has that conversation we have with Langley, joking about the deep fried lizards, the pan fried lizards. I love this character. I loved Howie. I love Howie and Langley together. It's like, oh, we're getting some two new characters, a breath of fresh air. We just lost Elias. We just lost some people, but like, it's nice to see some new characters, which actually feel like they're more than just token red shirts, token fake resistance fighters that are just going to be killed. These guys feel like they could actually contribute to the show in a new way because the older characters at this point, I'm not like they're not like it's not like they're old and whatever, but it's just nice to get a breath of fresh air with somebody.
Yeah. Although
I'd
I
like
do, I don't think that Bruce Davison did a good job of being intimidating,
mm,
and further, the way that they wrote it was just it didn't work because, he's new to this group as well, and he's already coming in and being very kind of
aggressive.
take charge.
Yeah.
Whereas we know Howie just saved Willie's life, basically, so you know that they're gonna have a modicum of trust for him. So the way that they wrote it, how is this man an undercover visitor? Like, he's not good at it.
Well, I think he has to. I think his mind, because he knows that Howie is kind of recognizing him, perhaps. So he's got to go aggressive to be like, "Yeah, I hate all visitors, and I hate little aliens." So like, kind of like, because it's obvious that Howie doesn't know where he recognizes him from, so he pushes the anti-visitor narrative. You might not get there. I think that's the goal that Langley has doing this. But yeah, it
This
is kind
this
of a
whole
weird
scene
thing.
just didn't really work for me.
It worked on Howie's side for me, though. I did like Howie's side
Yeah,
of it, but
Howie works, but, yeah,
I
Bruce
get what you're
Davison,
saying.
because I just feel like they didn't I don't know, they didn't really think and develop the character enough.
I get what you're saying there. All right, we jump forward. Willie goes into cardiac arrest and dies, despite Howie and Julie's best efforts. Until, of course, we get Elizabeth acting like Ed Harris in The Abyss.
As
Um,
soon as she came into the room, I knew what was gonna happen, and I just oh, no.
this is the most egregious use of the Deus Ex Machina, of the Jedi powers, of the we're going to make Elizabeth fix everything in the entire series.
She uh, I just
Where
wrote, "Oh, she's nifty."
she is very useful.
She is fully gone. She pulled a Tina
Where has
from
his power been?
yeah, we don't
Where
Willie's the
is
only person that she cares enough about to save. I'm fine with
here's
that. Girl, same.
I mean, I guess Elias didn't have a body, so okay. Elias disintegrated. Robert also didn't have a body. He was exploded on the ship, so I guess that's fine.
I'm just gonna sip the tea out of my Golden Girl mug.
Yeah, it is awful. I hate it. 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 Um, but it is what it is. It's just
It's just too much.
there's no
She
reason
never
for it to
reuses any
happen.
powers. It's just a
No.
power for an episode and then a different power next episode. At
Yeah.
least, like, in TV shows where, generally speaking, I think Smallville probably is the show that did it the best, whereas when Clark developed a new power, and it got to a point where at first, it was every few episodes, and then it got to, like, kind of 1 per season or so, but
Right.
it overwhelmed him, and he learned how to use it. It was in a single episode, he'd learned how to use it, but then he would use that power going forward. That
Yeah.
became a staple in his reservoir of, like, I mean,
What you
he's
can do.
Superman, he's way overpowered, much like Elizabeth, but
Right.
the way that he's always been written, that
Right.
his powers are handled very, very specifically and
Agreed.
well, and Superman has existed since the 30s. Like, guys, you have a good idea of what to do.
Yeah, I fully agree. The only one she tends to use again and again is her telekinesis side. Every once in a while that comes back, but otherwise, yeah, you're right. It just is every power gets developed.
She
Like,
also
okay,
has spidey sense. She uses that a lot.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. That's true too.
She has
Um,
every power. What can she not do?
Good question. We're not. I mean, it seems like she can do it all. She's like going to become the Beyonder from Marvel pretty soon.
I
Um,
love how Howie just gets, like, just so awestruck. He's like, "Oh, you're
you're the
the Star
Star
Child."
Child.
And
Uh,
then he's promptly whisked out of the
yeah.
room, like,
Oh boy, let's go.
I loved his I very much noticed his movements. His very,
Mark Singer.
yeah.
Very Mark Singer. Yeah. I will say I hesitate saying this because I don't want to ruin Howie for you. I feel like I have to say it. I think Howie is definitely a disciple of Zahn, and
I'm okay with that because
okay,
he's a pacifist, and more to the point, PLD, and this is why I'm absolutely going to give it a pass. He's a college student. That's what he is.
He's exploring those kind of options. Okay, that's fine. All right.
He's just a
Yeah.
little hippie, pacifist college student. We all were.
So they bring Howie in and they have a conversation about what we should do with him. And of course, Langley is very quick to say, I'll take care of it. And Ham seems okay with that. Donovan even seems okay with that, which is kind of surprising. He like fights it a little bit. Like Donovan seems like he's listening a little bit. He's like, oh, because Howie says something about in the fifth column. He's like, I thought you were all purged. And like, well, some of them are there. But Donovan still feels like he's ready to do it. 'Cause at the end, Howie's like, I can convince or I can show you I'm trustworthy. And Donovan's like, well, you better. Like, I'm surprised at how Donovan is implicating this, especially because Donovan had Martin as a friend. It's very out of character for Donovan. I didn't
Listen,
like it.
Ham is rubbing off on Donovan.
That's true. Maybe that's why I had to get rid of Ham. Maybe that's what it was. Because Julia's very pro Howie at that point.
Yeah.
Which is,
And I think
sense.
he would be, or she would be.
100%.
And I think once he mentioned the fifth column, I feel like that kind of would have swayed Donovan a bit more than it did. But isn't it lucky for Howie that he had some significant intel to give the resistance magically?
And that's a good question. How does Howie, a college,
And that he waited to that exact moment to tell them.
I mean, I guess it is. They're bringing the armament into the medical bay or medical facility.
Well,
so
I think
maybe
the
that's
fifth
how
column
it
would
is.
know because like they keep tabs on these things. I think I do it like to me totally makes sense that he would know. He doesn't seem like the kind of person who he does seem like he crawled out of the swamp yesterday. So I don't necessarily think that he would have, kept that in the reserves up until that moment to use, say, as a bargaining chip at that point. But
Right.
all right.
Okay. All right. I'll let it go. But so he's going to figure out, he's going to showcase, he's going to prove it to them, and that's how he's going to supposedly save his life. All right. Next, we jump over to Science Frontiers, and we see Kyle dressed up in an orderly's uniform, sneaking in to see his father, and we see the real Nathan Bates. And so there's no way he could have been Nathan Nate's because he is so hurt still, so low key, barely can talk, got the oxygen on him, very sick. And this sets up probably the most emotional sequence in the entire show, in the entire series, I think, and safe to say. And
It's a great scene.
It's a great scene, and it's all props to Lane Smith, who is
unfortunately on Jump Street.
It's Lane Smith. Kyle, Jeff Yeager does his job. He does not ruin the sequence at all. He does everything he's supposed to do.
PLD, you set that bar low.
I did.
You said that bar is 6 inches off the ground in hell.
Pretty much.
And Kyle just walked right under.
Like, if it wasn't for Lane Smith, I don't think this scene it would have been fine. It would have been fine.
Okay.
Jeff Yeager does what he needs to do.
I think he did a great job.
He does.
Like,
he does.
I'm on Jeff Yeager's side.
I feel like I'm going to give all the laurels to Lane Smith as he feels like he was the one driving the moments. We learned that Bates had asked Chang to get Kyle there. And when Kyle hears that, he's like, well, Chang didn't get me. I'm here on my own. And that's where Nathan, smart as a whip still, despite his being injured, goes, well, I guess that means Chang's on the other side now.
Yeah, I think it's important to note that. So real Nathan is explaining that there's a system of underground explosives. It's like a doomsday device in case the visitors betray them, and then they realize that Chang has. I feel like I missed what Kyle was supposed to do with that information. I dropped the ball, or they didn't say it.
No, here's the thing, and here's what I'm going to say. First of all, this is the sequence where we mentioned this earlier. This is from the beginning of the series when Nathan threatened Diana with the red dust and everything else. Now, here's an interesting tidbit. I know this from all the interviews I read over the years and all the articles I read. There's actually a scene that was filmed that was cut where Nathan took that big honking Fitbit thing that he had on his wrist, which is not on his wrist in these shots, it seems like. He takes that and gives it to Kyle. He slides it off his wrist and onto Kyle's wrist. basically, I don't know why Kyle would be the one in charge. I don't know what Nathan's thinking. I think maybe
Doesn't it have
Nathan's
something
like,
to do with his heart rate, though? Did
yeah,
you
so
tell me
maybe
that wouldn't
Nathan's
have
like,
already gone when he got shot?
I think if his I think if his heart rate stops, maybe his heart never stopped beating. Maybe that's what it is. They don't really ever really say officially, like specifically. It's not like it has like a level. It's not like the DeLorean. You have to get to 88 miles an hour. It's not like that. I think it's specifically
So you're
at the
telling me that anyone can just shoot someone, just get over there to the watch before their heart stops and put it on. What in the interview with the vampire rules is happening?
um, I don't know story wise what that would have done though, because I don't know why Kyle would get it. And why would Nathan like? Is Nathan's giving Kyle the power? Is he trying to make
Well, yeah,
Kyle in
he's trying to ensure
charge?
that Kyle can't be killed.
Right. I guess that's the
Which I
way it is.
like, but
I
I
do.
don't know. I just don't know what Kyle was supposed to do with this information other
Right.
than be aware of it.
Yeah. I mean,
So
Julie was
at this
aware of it,
point,
but
if I'm a writer, this sets up that I need to get as many visitors to LA and many people in LA out and blow
right.
up LA.
Right.
And that
Which
would be
makes
the
sense as
season
well.
finale. That's not what
Now,
the season finale is gonna be, but
right.
that's what I'm setting up. But
I
that's
agree, and I would do that too as well. I think what the problem here also though is the fact that again, this is where the bad writing comes in. You have to like as an audience member, I have to make the jump that okay, Chang betrayed him. Chang must know about the underground tanks. I assume Chang's supposed to know about it. So
yeah.
Chang must have sabotaged it. I'm guessing that's what ends up happening, but you never hear
Oh.
that like being said because Nathan dies and the tanks don't get destroyed.
So
Underground tanks
you
don't
set
destroy.
up so much for nothing, and you don't
Right.
even have enough it's just
And he actually says it in this scene. That's what I mean. I almost feel like if he if he doesn't mention it to Kyle, like I don't maybe viewers had forgotten about the scene in the first episode and they kind of almost get away with it. But you actually then decide to bring it
yeah,
up
you
and
brought
then
it
not
back
do anything with it.
up.
And then
And it
not do
just
anything with it.
I felt like I was missing things.
I feel like there's some kind of sequence we missed where Chang tells Nathan Bates that he disarmed it or whatever, or took care of it or whatever.
So I do like, Nathan telling Kyle that he's sorry and that he loves him, and then Kyle cries and refuses to leave him there, and he does his best to try and get his father out, and that
Yeah,
doesn't work out very
yeah.
well.
I do love one of Nathan's best lines in the whole series from the bed, and he's like, "Just for once, listen to me," because he never listens to him. And then what did he say? He says, "Get out, go away, leave me here." And you're like, "Oh, but great acting. I'll give you credit where credit's due. Jeff Yeager, 20 Jump Street does do a pretty good job here as well. I will give you that as well.
See, he's not
I
so
will give it to
bad.
him. I will
I'm
do it.
turning around on Jump Street.
All right, all right. So we jump back to Howie and DonoHam, and they're doing some scouting, like almost view the final battle style with the long binoculars. We figure out what's going on there, and they prove Howie right because the visitors are clumsy and drop drop
Yeah, I
Dennis
wrote, "Oh my god,
Marshall
the
pistol.
visitors are so effing inept."
They are stormtrooper level
I
at
was
some
gonna say
point.
stormtroopers.
Absolutely, it's pretty bad. I'm not gonna lie.
They
Um,
spend a total of 5 minutes spying from the rooftop and get all of the secrets
that
confirmed.
they need.
And
It's
also, at this point, okay, rooftops seem to be such a significant issue in this show. Why aren't the visitors staked out on every
everywhere.
rooftop? At this point, dude, we know what the high ground means. Okay, maybe they don't, but we who've lived through the 90s know what the high ground means.
Mhm,
They certainly
mhm,
understand that they get getting shot from above. This is not
mhm.
that hard.
It
Where are
is
your
not
strategists? You
absolutely,
strategizers?
especially when especially at the moment you're bringing these weapons in during the actual shipment. If you don't want to do it all the time and you want to spread your army too thin, fine. But at least during the time when you're bringing in the weapons you're not supposed to be
And
bringing
also just not considering that
in.
someone would be on the roof across the street with a clear vantage point.
Right.
Come on,
Come
cover your
on.
bases, guys. What are you doing?
I do love that. Why don't you believe me? Because you're a lizard. Ham, good parting line there. That's great. All right, we jump back to Science Frontiers, and this is the sequence I was talking about, how it's really well done. Kyle is trying to walk Nathan out. Nathan has the drip bag on him. He can barely walk. He
Yeah, I wrote
barely,
this wobble acting is hilarious.
but it's actually very legit. It felt like it was legit to me. It felt very good to me.
I
I
don't
believed it.
know.
I believed it. I gotta tell you, I believe it.
I
Maybe because
did
I've dealt
not.
with an old man recently, and I feel like I've had a situation like this, and it kind of felt like he was doing the right thing. But anyway, they open the elevator, and there's Chang. Chang is there trying to stop him from leaving. He pulls the gun, and great use of music,
Yeah,
emotional moment. It was actually a perfect score. The tension is right. I don't say that very often about the show, but the tension is right. Dramatic scenes are right. And Nathan decides to finally try to redeem himself. He can't fully redeem himself from all the shit he's done, but he will try to save his son. Literally falls on the gun. Um, Score swells. I got chills. I actually literally got chills, which I can't say happens
I
very much
didn't
in this
quite
show.
get there, but
I did.
I did write, damn.
Damn.
Kyle's
Kyle.
dad is shot in front of him again. This poor kid is giving Wanda. How many times does he need to watch Vision die?
Absolutely. Good call. Good call. Chang shoots at him. Kyle gets out of the way in the elevator closing, and we move away. What a great sequence that was. One of my favorites in the show. Um, all right. We get back up to Diana getting a message from Langley that somehow, for some reason, cut off. I don't know why. They don't ever say why it was cut off, but it was. I do love the messenger waiting for Diana to leave before grabbing a guinea pig. He kind of sneaks. He's like, and sneaks a guinea pig himself as she leaves. There's no guinea pig or is it a mouse? I'm not even sure. Either way, guinea pig. Yeah, it's guinea pig. All right. We jump back down to. It's funny. We jump back down to Science Frontiers for a brief second to show Kyle like sliding out the elevator, and then we jump away.
Yeah, these cuts are not.
You could have moved that cut to a scene from now, easily.
I wrote too short of a scene.
Yeah,
It didn't need to be there.
right. You don't need it at
It
all,
wasn't
first of all.
necessary at all.
But if you were going to have it, put it a little later on. So,
Now, our next cut, I have questions.
okay, hit me.
Where'd they get the ambulance? We get our resistance coming into the hospital already with an ambulance and uniformed. I get the uniforms. I'm sure they are well stocked in uniforms. But where'd they get the ambulance?
If Ham has a connection to the police department, he must have a connection with the local.
Well, I'm assuming they just pulled some. They did another thing like they always do, and then they stole it just moments ago. But wouldn't they be hot on their trail?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. That's true. Well, maybe it was a case of him having a connection. He borrowed the ambulance, and guy didn't report it for whatever reason. But yes, they start attacking the hospital slowly but surely. They knock out a few guards. Donovan and Ham and Julie go towards the inner side of the base, while Howie and Langley go to tie up the visitors. And Robin is sent to guard the ambulance. And I will say, I actually wrote this down. Robin is on a mission. Is this the first mission she's actually ever gone on?
I mean, she's pretended to be a janitor and stole a disc
Right.
or
She holds
something.
disc in Science Frontiers, but an actual like assault type mission.
I don't think she has.
Yeah, taking a long time. So why this one?
And she's the getaway driver.
Yeah,
I wouldn't trust her with that.
I would not either. There's
Has
nothing
she
I would.
driven
I wouldn't
before?
trust her with any mission, anything on this mission. Like nothing. I wouldn't try to trust her to be a lookout. I wouldn't trust her to be a driver. Like so, basically, because she has a boyfriend that's going along, she's going to go with him now. When she was dating or not dating, like
Hildy, don't do this to me.
it's ridiculous. Like there's no reason why she's there at all, to be honest, except for the story needs her there for what's about to happen.
Dead inside.
Side. Okay, fair. So you jump back to Science Frontiers, and here's where that cutscene could have gone if you really wanted to, but you don't even need it. Chang is in Bates' office. The doorway opens. I will say 21 Jump Street is one hell of a look.
He flies over that desk to tackle
WWE style. Although funny, you can tell this is me being pedantic at this point. I fully get it. I fully understand. I'm criticizing him. It doesn't need to be criticized. But this is how that cut happens. He flies in with a great look, flies in, does jump over the desk, and you see him like go by. Chang honestly gets out of the way, takes Kyle like this, and then like brings him down. The very next sequence, though, Kyle is square on top of him. Like, it's such a bad edit. Like, it's so badly edited there.
Gotta love it.
I'd let that go, though. I like it's a fight sequence. I just found it amusing. And here it is, Kyle. I know you want revenge, but Chang whooped your ass last.
Yeah, what happened to that? I wrote a lot. There's a lot of plot armor going around here because because when Chang pulls a gun, because Kyle's an idiot, and there's so many times that he could have shot Kyle, but doesn't purely because of plot armor, and then the gun just goes off, and Mr. Chang is dead. But Kyle doesn't even double check. He didn't double tap Mr. Chang, dude.
No, and like it doesn't look like he got shot at all. I don't see any wounds on Chang.
Well, this show is not going to have blood. I was fine with that.
I guess. Yeah,
Only
but I don't
losers
understand.
bleed.
I don't understand why Chang doesn't kill him. There's no reason to keep him alive. Once he got the gun out, there's no.
At one point, he turned his back to him. I'm like, bro.
To call what they call security or something. You don't. No, you don't need to.
Just kill him. Like it did not make sense to me.
Nope. But then Kyle runs away, and I think that's all we see of Kyle in this episode. I think that's it. So Kyle leaves. That's the whole last time we see Science Frontiers. Science Frontiers is not important anymore because everybody's dead in Science Frontiers at this point that we care about.
So dumb.
That's the government, and that's done. But we jump back to the hospital. DonoHam and Julie getting some fun last moments for DonoHam again. This form needs 2 signatures. Here's one. Here's the other.
Yes, and pulling out their guns. That was really funny. I like that. But I just have a question. Why isn't Donovan wearing a hat? He's so recognizable. He's like 18 feet tall. Everybody knows him. It's ridiculous.
It's because he's so good looking that he just blinds them.
But then underneath I wrote, DonoHam is so funny.
DonoHam is so much well together. It is. They're brilliant together. They're really fun. So they destroy the thing. Basically, Howie finally figures out where he knows Langley from. Langley knocks him out. Langley gives the resistance away and takes Robin. And then we have the sequence with him versus Robin. And Robin rips his face off. And we get the, oh no, not again. No.
She should have been doing the Kevin McAllister.
It's awful. I don't love that.
So bad.
It is awful. But anyways, DonoHam and Julie run to it. Langley gets the drop on them until Howie wakes up, shoots Langley, kills Langley. Situation is done. Resistance drives away. Diana drives in, and I do like in a limo. I do like Diana and Howie having the line together, where Howie's like, they destroyed the tanks. What's the matter? I have no idea how it happened, but I bet he does. And then Diana has a moment where she says that he disappointed her, because that's what happens to Diana's loves. They always end up dead. That's one thing you got to understand. If you're a lover of Diana, you're going to end up dead.
Debbie from the Adam Stanley Values.
There you go. Good reference. I like that. I do like that.
She just wants a nice lizard. And maybe next episode, maybe she'll find lizard love.
Next time on V. And then I almost don't want to do it. This is it now. We're at the final scene, and well, okay, Robin's not pregnant, luckily. And Robin is leaving to go to Chicago. Julie asks her if she wants to do this. I know in all our heads we're like, yes, she wants to do this. We want her to do this. Goodbye, Robin. But yet, she's leaving Elizabeth behind.
That doesn't make any
sense.
If you're at war, you travel is difficult, getting to places is difficult, you're in hiding, you don't leave your
2-year-old kid. I mean, I let it go. That's
like a situation of I'm getting them out to a safer place, which is the opposite of what she's doing.
Yes. She's going to Chicago where her family is, where her sisters are, and things. Like, Elizabeth should want to go there and be safe, but she can't leave because of freaking Kyle and Willie. And she actually
named Willie, but Willie, just take Willie with you.
It makes no sense, except that Elizabeth has to stay on the show for the writers, according to them. and it's not, and it's bad.
You're
It's not.
keeping the wrong people.
Yeah, Elizabeth should have been gone as well. That's for sure. And I actually even don't mind Elizabeth, to be honest with you. Like, besides her Jedi powers, I don't mind her character being there. But like, I would say like Jennifer Cook. I think that's what it is. I like her as an actress. I don't mind her, but we could have done without her for sure. Um, Robin leaves. Donovan and Ham comes in saying something about meeting Chris. Some hobby pickups. We get a Mickey Jones name drop there, Chris Evans. And I didn't realize when I was younger, I'm kind of like, okay. I didn't realize that Ham was leaving for good. Like, I kind of thought Ham was just drive her
I
to
mean,
pick up. Maybe Ham was
DonoHam had that shake. You're still
that's what it
here.
is.
You fall for any sob story.
I gotta say that I'm saying
That's a good
before we
line.
get to that moment, like when we just start watching in there, Ham. Okay, so Ham's gonna take her because Ham must be dropping her off with Chris. But then we do have the goodbyes there. Ham has a good moment with Julie. Julie has the big hug, and Ham's like, "Okay, yeah, all right, I'll hug you." I actually really do love the DonoHam final moments. It's another like emotional-ish moment for me as a series. Like, I mean, the series didn't have a lot of emotional moments. Let's be honest. But I think this is well done. I like that he calls him Hard Rock. I don't know where
I
that
missed
came from.
that.
He goes, "Well, Hard Rock." Donovan calls Ham Hard Rock. He goes, "Well, Hard Rock." He all said, I don't know where that came from. But there's some great
Now I'm
moments
just
there.
thinking of Hard Rock Nightmare. Oh, what a fun movie.
But I do love his line, like, Ham finally going, "You're not so bad for an amateur. But you're still a sucker for a sad story, and I'm not going to be around to cover your back." And Donovan's like, "All right, just take care. It matters." Okay, fine. Ham leaves, and actually, it's a great moment between Donovan and Julie as well, where Julie comes in. He's like, "Oh, you think we'll ever see him again?" And smart decision by the writers. Donovan doesn't answer her. Like, you always expect this storyline, these writers, for Donovan to say, "Of course we will," or "someday," or Donovan just kind of looks at her and is like, turns out the lights. Like a Cheers moment, turning out the lights as the
Oh,
story's over.
yeah.
It's very sad. It's very sad. Losing DonoHam.
I what is this show without them? What is this show without them?
You're giving 21 Jump Street a lot of credit here, and now you got to realize that it's going to be Donna Kyle a little bit more than DonoHam. And I'm
Well,
going to
it'd
be
be
honest.
Kyleven.
Kyleven, is that what it is? Not Donna Kyle. Donna Kyle. That actually sounds like an actual name. Donna Kyle. Is that somebody important? I don't know. I gotta look that up. I feel like that's an actual
I
person.
think you're on drugs, Fieldy.
There's 30 plus Donna Kyle profiles on LinkedIn, but nobody important, I guess.
Okay, so really retroactively, real quick, want to go back and do my rewrite.
Yes,
So
let's hear your rewrite.
Mr. Chang, I'm scrapping his character, bringing in a different character, and that is going to be Nathan Bates' oldest illegitimate son, Kyle's brother. This is something Kyle and Nathan obviously know they're related, but outside of the family, no one super knows about this. He's very devoted because he, wants to prove himself to his dad.
Right,
He wants to be a better son than Kyle.
Right.
There was a lot of cheating, and maybe that's why Kyle has so much animosity towards his father because he wasn't faithful to his mother. And maybe left him, something like that. Okay. Right? So now take this entire plot of this show and keep in mind that's Nathan's son.
Okay.
Right? Much deeper, much more interesting, a lot more dynamic. Okay. Right. So we get to this episode. I don't know how I would do like what I said earlier with the underground explosives. I would keep those, and that would be the series or the season finale is luring as many visitors here as possible and taking them all out and really putting a dent in their numbers as well as a couple of their crafts.
Agreed.
Yes, LA's gone, but sometimes you have to make those big steps to like come out the victor. I just think that having a lot more character, having longer arcs would have been much more beneficial to this show. Howie, of course, would be coming in going forward. He would be a staple character that's in contact with our main characters. I mean, Dream Ham wouldn't leave because it just doesn't really make sense. I
Right.
would have killed Robin off episode 1.
Yeah, you would have. Yeah, you would have
Yeah.
done that. I get that.
But Bruce Davison's
Davidson.
character would also be staying around, and he would be, I do like the idea of having someone who is an agent you don't know. Like, he's working for her, but also, he's
Is he
working with them.
fully
And
right?
sometimes he's a double agent, a triple agent. He's out for himself, and he'll use whatever information he has to take the advantage.
Right.
Yeah, I really like that idea of just giving the show a bit of a better foundation.
Agreed. I like your read a lot. I actually would agree with that. I like the idea of Bates' older son being there. It makes a lot more sense in a way, and it does add some little familial thing between Kyle and the older brother. And Nathan dying, I would actually let Nathan die like that. I hesitate saying that because I do love Nathan's character. I love Lane Smith specifically. I think he does a great job in that role. But dying the way he does here
Yeah,
actually works. So it worked
yeah.
well for it. So I'm okay with that. I also would have kept Langley on. I would have kept Howie. Howie would have to appear every episode, but he'd come back every couple episodes. Be kind of like a returning character here and there. But I agree too. You set up that whole. I love the idea of keeping those tanks as like a big plot point. That would be a great season finale. Absolutely. Robin can definitely go. I actually would have made Elizabeth lose her powers. Just have her lose her powers for, I don't know, maybe she gets some kind of trauma or something. I don't know. Get her, because the powers are just
See,
so
I
much of a
wouldn't have
crutch.
necessarily done that, but I think from the get-go, I definitely would have had a very detailed character bible in regards to her powers.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have made her so powerful, like bringing back the dead. It was unnecessary.
Yeah.
So, for instance, like when Willie went originally to go get Simon, he was telling Simon what later Howie told them. You didn't need to do that extra step. So you
Right.
really never needed to get shot. You could have
Right.
just had this, them getting the reconnaissance take longer.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
so and instead of Simon, the informant could be Howie.
Mm-hmm.
Like you could reduce a lot of these steps.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the idea is they got Howie to save Willie. Maybe Willie doesn't hear anything from Simon. Maybe Willie sees Simon, or Willie comes and there's a guard. There's no Simon. There's just guards there with a trap or something to that effect. Um, and he gets shot. I don't mind Willie necessarily getting shot. I would hope he gets his winged
I would
instead
have
of shot in the
scrapped him
chest.
getting shot altogether.
I don't mind the shot part. I mind the shot in the chest and having him be able to curl his way around. I mean, he gets winged and everything comes back, and maybe they need a visitor doctor to help with some of the things. I get that. Um,
Or,
but
if he does get hurt and they take him to the hospital and Howie operates and realizes who he is and helps him escape, something
mhm.
like that.
Or maybe even Willie. Honestly, it would be interesting. Willie gets sick, like some kind of visitor sickness that we don't know about. Something we could
I think that
explore.
presents too many problems.
How so? It's curious.
'Cause then you have, why just Willie? Why not other visitors?
Well, and not necessarily. I'm saying like nothing specifically poison that's like kind of contagious. I mean, just like the first time you get some kind of illness that visitors get that we just don't know.
Yeah, but I've
You
just
know.
seen War of the Worlds too many
Mm,
times,
mm.
but and it would still go to, like, if he's getting, let's say, you know, the flu, well, then
Mm,
other visitors would get the flu.
mm,
That would put a lot out, especially if that's not something that they're used to.
yeah. Hmm.
Um, I mean, hey, I mean, you know how many wars have been won because of diseases?
That's true. I mean, hell, this show alone has the red dust for sure. That says something for. But yeah, no, I don't disagree with nothing. No, I mean, I still think it could work,
I
but
mean, now that you mentioned that, I mean, originally we won in the show for using chemical warfare, which is
yeah,
generally in real life very frowned upon.
yeah.
I mean, that would be an interesting thing saying, well, first time we used chemical warfare, this time maybe we can use biological, we can
Right.
use
Yeah,
diseases.
that's fair. That's fair.
Like, how does the plague work? How does leprosy work on that?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
so on and so forth.
Good points. Good points. Total. So at the end of the day, I feel like we both agree. Like this actually had a lot of great moments in it. For this, this is probably one of the better episodes of the series for sure. Um, it could have been even better. It's the details. The devil's in the details, as it usually is. But it is a very definitely a moment of change, and we're gonna have to move forward without one Ham Tyler, without Nathan Bates, without Chang, without Robin. That's a bunch of characters to go in one episode. Oh, not Chris. I mean, Chris was only a recurring character, but he had a couple episodes, so he's still there.
I mean, I I mean, when you okay, so you have a TV show.
Right.
You're coming in with a pretty large cast. I understand maybe dropping and adding, but when you're doing it this rapidly,
Yeah.
it doesn't bode well.
No, it never did. Never did. And that's what you got Elias dying last episode. So yeah. So basically, that's 5 characters leaving the show, 6 if you count Chris, in 2 episodes.
It's too many.
I think so.
And
And
who
there's a
knows what
couple more
happens
coming.
next episode.
There's technically, yeah, a couple other characters we're gonna lose. A couple of characters we're gonna lose. I'll spoil there's one character you know and one character you might not know, but we'll talk. But I will say that I actually looking forward to next week's episode. I actually was one of my favorite growing up. And I think there actually is a lot of good moments in this episode. A lot of fun moments in this episode. So remember, I always look back as like, oh, Ham left the show, went to shit. And I'm not going to say it's good after that, but there's one episode that the first episode out of the gates made me think, okay, we could still work for a little while. We'll find out about that next week or next episode, which is going to be after the holidays. We're not coming back till 2024. So we thank you so much for sticking with us, folks. Absolutely. Please stick around with us even further. Like I said before, like, subscribe. If you want to help us out even further, patreon.com/PLD projects really helps keep the lights on here. It pays for everything. We got Austin Cadell, Brendan Buckingham, Jeff Alterman, Jeremiah Morris, a bunch of whole crew that is cool with us there. Yeah. What else? Where can the folks find you, Lego?
I am Legoland13 on the YouTubes, and from there you can find my Instagram, which is the Horror Explorer, but it's spelled weird because I came way too late to get the properly spelled handle. I do a lot of long-winded rants about horror movies and horror movie tropes and franchises and sometimes TV shows. And you can also find me on the Rob Fishbeck Network every other Thursday, where I also go on long-winded rants. And sometimes I just steal the whole show and start talking about random things, kind of like I do here. But on there, sometimes I just randomly start singing Whitesnake songs. So you never know what you're gonna get.
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. I'm supposed to be making a guest appearance on the Rob Fishbeck Network at some point. Probably after the holidays, I would assume. You can find me here all over PLD Projects. We have review every couple of weeks. We have Crown Jewels, My Journey Through Queen. It's actually on my sister YouTube channel, PLD Projects Crown Jewels. But also on this channel, we have Holy Snokes, my weekly Star Wars podcast with Matty Gunner. We do Two Mediocre White Dudes on Film, myself and PJ doing franchises, mostly horror. We have delve off in some action here and there and some fantasy here and there. We always like to come back to Mother, as it were. Halloween was our first big one. The Nightmares
I
are
mean,
Friday's our next big one.
horror is the best genre.
It is. It really is. I guess we're probably going to do Nightmare next year, I'm assuming, so we can get the third of the big 3, as it were. But also, PJ and I have started another one called The Big Blue Box. That's going to be an after show for Doctor Who, because we are big fans. We can finally, I mean, we've been a long time coming, let's be honest, because half of our Two Minute Witches on Film would always start with us talking about Doctor Who first.
Are you going and retroactively looking at older series, or are you just starting with the new one?
Right now, we're starting fresh. And we're not going to do like weekly or anything like that, or bi-weekly. Just basically going to be after shows. We did the after show specials, after show for Christmas special, and we'll do the series as
And
it
it's
comes
starting
on.
with Shurigawa.
Shurigawa, yep, absolutely. We are probably going to do some other extra episodes, some rankings, some other things like that. Actually, on Patreon, we did 2 episodes at that point we called them Two Mediocre White Idiots in a Box, and we looked back at some episodes. We looked back at the Paul McGann movie, and we looked at Waters of Mars, which is one of my favorite David Tennant ones. But I think there's a chance that eventually like in between seasons, we'll probably go back and do some retroactive stuff, starting with New Who. I think we could even go back to Classic Who at some point. If I gave PJ license, he'd go into the whole Big Finish audio stuff as well because he loves it.
They do a lot of Dark Shadows.
He loves that stuff, the Big Finish stuff, and he will talk about it nonstop. He's been pushing me to listen over and over again. I have listened to a few. I do enjoy it. I prefer the
I'm
visual.
assuming, like with Dark Shadows, they got a lot of the original cast that they could. So I'm assuming they do the same with Who.
Yes, it's all the original doc for the most part. The original Doctors, like especially the older Doctors, like Tom Baker, even at 90, is doing like Fourth Doctor stories, and Paul McGann has done them. Matt Smith hasn't come back yet. They actually had a voice actor replace him for a little bit. Sometimes they have actors replace them until they come in. They haven't gotten Matt Smith, they haven't gotten Peter Capaldi, but they have gotten even Christopher Eccleston, who won't come back to the main show, has come back for some Big Finish productions, which is fun. But mostly it's the same actors. So yeah, it's a lot of fun to listen to. Personally, I prefer the visual side of things. This is my own personal preference. I tend to zone out a little bit during the audio and have to find back to rewind it. And I don't know, PJ, he'll talk about it nonstop and extol the glories of that. So I'm sure we'll have some episodes about that as well. That's been a big fun. It's been a lot of fun so far. I've had a lot of fun doing that. So I think that's it for PLD projects right now, at least for now. Well, I'm sure there'll be something else coming up at some point. But mention the Patreon, mention myself at Paul_Denuzio on Twitter. Yeah, I guess that's it. Until next time, Prete Nama, folks. Prete Nama. We're doing the Star Trek thing now. Is that what we're doing?
I think that's what I usually do.
Yeah,
Or I do the Nick Cage.
Nick Cage is good. I'll do that. Oh, they're all good. Anyway, get the hell out. We're gone.